You're watching and listening to the latest Red and Blue review show. For all your Crystal Palace related chat, please like and subscribe across all the usual social media platforms, especially our YouTube channel. This really helps us out. Now, let's get on with the show.
Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Palace fans across the globe. Welcome to a Christmas New Year edition of the Red and Blue Review podcast with me, Ian Noble, hosting this evening. Of course, very disappointing on the back of two defeats, narrow defeats to both halves of North London in the last week since we were last on air. But with me, I have some illustrious, familiar faces this evening alongside me. Nick Philpott, good evening, Nick. How was your Christmas? Did you have a good time?
Lord Noble, good evening, and good evening to everybody watching. Yeah, I had a very nice Christmas. Nice and quiet, mate. How was yours?
Yeah, not bad at all, actually. You know, family and, usual stuff. But, fairly quietish, but not too bad.
Are you still wearing your Christmas jumper?
Yeah, I've got a Christmas jumper on. Listen, as modelled by Oliver Glasner last Christmas, so if it's good enough for Oliver Glasner last Christmas, there's a song there somewhere. It's good enough for me tonight, right? So there we are. And Paul Gear, how was your Chinese on Christmas Day, mate?
Very good, mate. Yes, we've given up cooking on Christmas Day. We get the takeaway and then reheat it on Christmas Day. It's a lot nicer. Trust me. New tradition.
I love that tradition. I want to do that next Christmas Day. I want to have a Chinese meal on Christmas Day rather than turkey and all the trimmings. What are you rating on that, Nick? Do you reckon it could take on?
Well, I would soon, mate. It would be an Indian for me. I'd eat an Indian. I'd eat an Indian 7 days a week. On a Saturday night, I always get an Indian takeaway, but I also get enough to take to work on the Monday. So I'll reheat it on the Monday. Love it.
This is a new show entitled Takeaways, nothing to do with Crystal Palace Football Club. We're talking about food all evening. No, we won't. Good evening to everyone joining us in the chat. It's good to see some familiar names and one or two less familiar. You're very, very welcome, whether you're a regular watching this podcast live. You probably need to get a life. No, I'm only joking. Or whether you're a newcomer, you're especially welcome. Great to have you with us. And we hope to involve you in the chat this evening. As you can see, we're depleted on numbers tonight. We were expecting someone else. We won't mention him by name to embarrass him. But it's Christmas and everyone's on holiday. So, yes, there he is. There he is. He was supposed to be joining us and we haven't heard from him. So we're not sure what's happened to our Jim. But we'll forgive him because he's such a great bloke. And that kit, by the way, he was wearing. Let's put that picture up again, Nigel, can we? That kit, that's special. I think we should bring that back for next season. The light blue sash.
I love that.
I think maybe with a red and blue sash instead of just the red. I think that would be amazing.
I'd not seen that picture before, Ian. Somebody sent me that in the week and I forwarded it on to Nige. Hence why I can't remember who sent it to me. And I looked at that and I thought, blimey, that is a sexy kit.
It is. Yeah, so how about that, Crystal Palace Football Club? We want that kit for our away kit next season. That would be nice. But they sort of tried to do. They did a white with a light blue sash, didn't they? A couple of years ago, which was good.
Perhaps for the benefit of the people listening back on the podcast, you need to describe it, Ian.
Okay, well, it's a complete light blue kit with a red sash, and I'm saying that would look really good if it was a red and dark blue sash. I think.
Does it look as though he's worn that shirt before and it's he's lost a bit of dye in the wash compared to
the shorts are slightly darker. They're probably meant to be the same colour. Jim wishes he'd come on the pod now because we'll be ripping it out of him if he was here. So, guys, look, it's been one hell of a week, hasn't it, with Christmas in between. Since we were last on air, we've been to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Exactly the same stage as we played them last season. Exactly the same outcome with us going out of the competition narrowly, far more narrowly this time than last season even. And we'll come to look at that game very shortly. And then yesterday, still very much fresh in the memory from Tottenham visiting Selhurst Park and going down by the single goal. And I think it probably says how far we've come, guys, that we're so terribly disappointed in that result yesterday. Would you go along with that, Nick? That a couple of seasons ago, we might not be too bothered about losing home to Spurs, but now it feels like we should beat them. Surely.
I'm telling you now, we lost to a very disappointing Spurs team yesterday. I thought they were poor. I'll come on to it during the notes. Don't forget they had some key players missing as well. Okay, I know we've got a handful of injuries, but they had some suspensions and AFCON, and they were there for the taking. They weren't very good, albeit for our finishing. We should have battered them, and the stats will prove it later on during the show. Absolutely, they were there for the taking, mate.
But don't you think that the point I'm trying to make here is that we've come such a long way that we're now disappointed, really disappointed, to be losing to sides like Spurs at home?
Yeah, and the other, of course, and your point's right. And the same with the Arsenal game. You before that game, I thought we could easily lose that 4 or 5, which was the old Nick thinking about the old Palace. Yeah. These days, we'll go to any ground, any stadium in the land, and give them a game. And we proved that at the Emirates, we proved it yesterday.
Yeah.
Although we came on the losing side on both games.
Yeah, totally. Good. Okay. Well, we're going to be talking about both games in a minute. We're going to be talking also about our XG, our expected goals, and the fact that we're well below our XG and where we should be. We're going to be talking about the transfer window a little bit. Pre-show, Nick was saying he's not interested in who's joining us and all the rest of it, but I think most of you are. So we're interested in your views on who we should be going for. We talked a little bit about this last time as well. So we've got a list of names here, which we'll go through maybe. And we'll talk about the up-and-coming fixtures and do a little preview, certainly on the next 2 games that are coming thick and fast early in the new year. So let's take our minds back to the Emirates last Tuesday night, the 23rd of December, just before Christmas. Paul Gear, you were there in the ground. You're going to take us through this game, mate.
Yeah, so we trudged up to the Emirates, second time this season. Obviously, cup game, so we knew there'd be a few changes. And the team changes we made, obviously, we had a pretty shocking display at Leeds 3 days earlier. So we're trying to get out of the system. But yeah, so we look at the change. Benitez, obviously, in for Henderson, as he's pretty much the cup keeper. Camvo came in for Klein, and Lerma came in for Hughes. I was quite interested because normally, certainly in the cup competitions that we've had previously, Oliver's always brought Henderson back in at the quarterfinal stage, but apparently he told Dean he wasn't going to do that because he was superstitious. Apparently he brought Dean back at the Emirates last year and we lost, so he thought he'd stick with Walter. So that was a quite interesting start. But yeah, that was the lineup. In the first half, obviously starts.
Where did you hear that story? I've not heard that one before.
Oh, it was online. Oliver said it.
Okay, I've not heard that. Fair enough.
Yeah, it was a good interview with him actually on Christmas Day on Sky Sports News, talking about superstition and how he wore the same clothes for various cup runs he's been in, and how as a result his trousers are now in the Frankfurt Museum apparently for when they won the UEFA Cup. So he had to get the same trousers again because he was superstitious. But yeah, moving on to the Arsenal game.
Well, that's right, your street, because you're very similar to that.
I am the most superstitious person in the world, so I'm with him on that one all the way, definitely. But yeah, it didn't help either way last week anyway, as we'll find out. But
no,
yeah,
absolutely.
First half started. Obviously, Arsenal made a few changes as well, but they sort of started with on the front foot as you'd expect there. And the first sort of easy shot from Madueke straight at Benitez. And for the first 10-15 minutes, they were the better team, as you'd almost expect. They had most of the possession. They weren't really creating much at this point, though. But yeah, sort of 15 minutes in, that's when we get our only real sort of foray into their half in the game. So the first half, sorry, when Mateta's got the ball on the halfway line, he's turned and he's played it out to Mitchell, who's running forward, driving into the space. And he gets to the edge of the box and he has a bit of a head rush, to be honest. I think he goes for the shot and he puts it high, wide and handsome, and he probably would have been better off looking for Nketiah, who'd made a good run at the far side and was a little bit open in the box. So that was our only real get into their half, unfortunately. Then it was back to Arsenal pressure, and in the 22nd minute, they had some nice interplay around the box, and Martinelli's lifted the ball into the box to Madueke, who's come towards goal. Benitez has come out. Madueke's poked it. He's had a bit of a shirt pull from Tyrick. He was taking a bit of a chance there, but yeah, the fact that he got the shot in obviously negated hopefully the foul. But Benitez made a good close range save from there. And Nick,
Bring Nick in here. What do you think about Nick?
Yeah, there was that, but it's the Benitez thing, the subject I wanted to talk about. I think what we witnessed on that evening was, and I didn't realise it up until that point, was how good a reserve goalkeeper we got in Benitez. He had a stormy, especially initially in the first half, but he's a good keeper, isn't he? He's a very good keeper.
I don't think there's any question about who was our man of the match against Arsenal. I think it was fairly evident that Walter Benitez would take that accolade, because you're right, he played absolutely brilliantly and made save after save after save. Can I just come back to this the save you're just talking about there, Paul, where Madueke gets away, but Mitchell gets hold of his shirt? Is that not a penalty then? He didn't score, but he's pulled his shirt in the box. Obviously not enough for VAR to intervene, or the ref to.
I don't think there was VAR, was there?
Well, that's what I was just about to correct myself. Actually, no VAR the other night. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah, no VAR in this competition until the semi-finals, I think. So, which we fell foul of last year in this round.
Yeah, that's right. It's very true. Actually, I've forgotten.
It was completely offside. Okay. But yes, as I say, so he's made a good save there. As I say, maybe got away with a potential penalty. But yeah, Arsenal beginning to crank up the pressure a bit now. And a couple of minutes later, another great save from Benitez. As I say, Martinelli on the left, he's crossed it over. And Hayes got a good header towards the bottom corner, which again, he's got down well. Benitez kept it out. And he's got back up quickly.
I think that was the pick of the bunch, actually.
That was a great save. And he's got back up quickly again. Between him and Mitchell, they've blocked Madueke again for another block. But yeah, I mean, at this point, we're sort of beginning to think this is not good, because there's only one team in it. And Martinelli, again, he's giving Camvo a bit of a torrid time on the
just about to raise that.
Left-hand side. I mean, Camvo's not right. He's
Paul,
not.
Let me stop you there, Paul. Let's talk about that. JD Camvo in at right wing back. Right decision for you, Nick, or wrong decision?
At the time, when I saw obviously with the team selection, I thought, do you know what? Give this guy a chance. He's young, he's enthusiastic. He hasn't let us down so far. But let's face it, he got. I don't think he has let us down too badly.
No, I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit, because he was the player at fault for the Larnaca goal. But let's gloss over that. Yeah, he's young. He's 19.
And one of the Cups goals.
Yeah,
but Nick, he's a centre back, isn't he?
He's a centre back. So it was a gamble taken by Glasner that clearly didn't pay off. He got absolutely rinsed by Martinelli down that side, and it wasn't just once. To the point where I believe he actually took him off at half time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we've got that graphic actually, that half time substitutions. But yeah, I thought. I just, as soon as he was taking him on in the first half, I just thought, crikey, he's made a wrong decision here playing JD Camvo at right wing back. Because he did look all over the shop.
The thing is, he wants to play him. He wants to give him experience. And that was the only place he could play on the night, and he came on there the other week as a go there. And to be honest, Klein couldn't play there again. He can't play 3 games in 5 days.
And the reality is, I mean, it just indicates the weakness of the depth of the squad, doesn't it? I mean, if we're being forced to play JD Camvo there because Klein is not up for 3 games in a week, I think it speaks volumes. I'm sure we'll be talking about that more later in the show.
Yeah, well, obviously we'll come on to the Tottenham game later, but I think we had about 4 right wing backs in the end yesterday, didn't we? The change of positions.
The thing is, Munoz couldn't play there last year, and Kapora played there, but he's obviously injured as well. So there's, as I say, there's problems there, and it's a spot we're making do with at the moment. And he got the nod, but it didn't work. So yeah, as I say, he's causing him all sorts of problems. He's got another cross in which has just evaded Jesus, and Marks put it out at the far post. And again, a few minutes later, Madueke continues his personal battle with Walter Benitez, and again from the left, another cross. This time, Lewis Kelly's got it over, and he goes to the far post, and he's controlled it well and drilled an angled shot, which he keeper's palmed wide again. So we get to half time. Very fortunate to be level. To be honest, it wasn't a good half. We offered so little going forward, but it was thanks to some resolute defending, and obviously, as we said, a great keeper performance that we going level. So obviously, Oliver spotted that things haven't been great, and we made some changes. So Klein, obviously, as we said, came on for Camvo because, something needed to be done down that side. And Devaney's come on for Nketiah, who had a pretty ineffective match.
He must have been disappointed, Eddie Nketiah, to come off at Arsenal, mustn't he, at half-time, do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, he scored there in this corresponding match last year in the Cup, didn't he?
Yeah.
But like a lot of our forwards, any of them could have come off, to be honest, because they were ineffective. And I've been a bit critical of Devaney this season so far, with the caveat, obviously, he's not playing many minutes, and it's hard to suddenly do that. But he'd come on against Cups or played against Cups reasonably well, and obviously scored. He came on and helped the performance at Leeds, and obviously got the penalty. And so he probably deserved to come on at that point.
Great. Let me bring Nick in.
Paul, I was going to ask you a question if you don't mind. Now, obviously, that round we got a greater allocation for the away fans. I think it was 7,000 in the away end. So at that point, I'll be honest with you, it was shown on terrestrial TV. I think it was on ITV and on Sky. To the point where I was watching it on the terrestrial channel and turned it over because something I'd noticed with a greater support that we had there, and well done to every one of you, especially trying to get back from there, because I understand it's diabolical trying to get home from there. Now, whether it was the TV where they put the microphones or anything like that, what was the crowd? What was our crowd like? Was it vocal? Because if I'm honest with you, it was deathly quiet, not just in the Palace end, but also in the stadium itself. There didn't seem to be very much singing going on at all, or had they not put the sound mics out?
No, I think it wasn't a bad crowd, bad atmosphere, to be honest. I think the problem is when you have that end, there was a lot of spread. So people were singing one thing on one side and people on some on the other, and it wasn't sort of natural together. And I think that sort of did put a few things off. But also, ultimately, we didn't also have too much to get loud about in the first half. So yeah, it wasn't the worst atmosphere we've had this season. And obviously with the number there, it was quite good. But it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, if the mics were around the Arsenal sections for that particular game, because they like to hype them up at the moment, to be honest.
So it's always been known as a bit of a library anyway, of course.
Yeah.
The Arsenal ground. Anyway, so a double change at half time, and the second half couldn't be any worse than the first, could it?
Well, exactly. As I say, we had to change something, and we had to also change the attitude. And I think Oliver did get into him. He said after the game that the first half wasn't good enough. He obviously got into them, and we started the second half clearly more aggressive, and we had more of the ball than them, and we were causing problems. We were more in their half. We had a couple of sort of half chances, and then Adam Walton got the ball in their half, drove forward, hit a good shot. I mean, we've discussed at length in the last couple of weeks about him shooting more. He just can't seem to hit the target at the moment, which is unfortunate. But he's not alone on that, as we're going to come on to. As well. But yeah,
unlucky, wasn't it, that one? It was unlucky. It was only just wide.
It was a good shot. It was a good shot, and
it showed, wasn't it?
It was a good shot, and it showed we were on the front foot. And as I say, watching it back to get some notes for the show, I noted Alan Smith on the commentary at that point said Palace were looking more likely to take the lead. And then in the 59th minute, we nearly scored with a very strange long throw from Lerma. And Kepa, he probably should have just let it go into the goal because it wouldn't count. But he tried to catch it and almost carried it over the line. So that was quite. That would have been quite an interesting goal. Nick,
but Nick. It's instinct, isn't it, for the keeper to go for it? But you're right. If he leaves it, it's not a goal, Nick.
Yeah, just a point on something you just made there, Paul. You mentioned Alan Smith on comms. I believe that was on Sky. Okay, Alan Smith, Arsenal player on Sky. I got so fed up with his biased comments in the first half to the point where I got hold of the remote and I turned it over to Sky, over to the other channel. Who was on there? Lee Bloody Dixon. What's all that about? So you got Alan Smith on one side and Lee Dixon on the other side. What is that all about? Where is
that is about big club bias. That's what that's about, and that's what they do. So you've been watching football long enough to know this is going to happen, surely.
Drives me mad. But there you go. Sorry to interrupt, boys.
That's right. We had Joe Ward on the ITV panel, I believe, anyway. So
Clinton does a bit now and again.
Yeah, he seems to be making a living as our regular pundit, Joel. So fair play to him on that one.
Good on him.
But yeah, I mean, Arsenal at this point, Arsenal say they obviously censor on the back foot, so decide they're going to bring on some of the big guns. So they bring on Odegaard and Saka, which is a compliment to us, to be honest. The fact that they need to do that, but it does head up their game a bit. They start to get a foothold in the game again, and Odegaard has a cross which Jesus narrowly heads wide, and I think he landed on Chris Richards' foot, which is then, say, 6-7 minutes later came to the fore because he twisted it again and he went down injured. Now it looked a bit innocuous. No one really saw any obvious foul or anything, but the next thing we know, the stretcher's coming on and taking him off. So it looked quite bad. And some of the comments online after saying it suggested it was quite a bad injury, but obviously Oliver hopefully tampered that quite quickly and said it's not as bad as he thought. And he said he would obviously miss Sunday, but hopefully he may be back for Thursday, which we'll come on to, no doubt. But yeah, so obviously Lerma, Hughes comes on for Richards. Lerma drops into the back line. And then shortly after that, we nearly score again. We have another corner. Walton swings it in, seems to beat everyone. And Kepa has to save it on the line. So it could go either way at the moment. It's touch and go. Arsenal again at the other end is beginning a bit of a basketball game now, back and forth, and Arsenal work it around the box, and it comes to Lewis Skelly at a tight angle on the left, and he hits a curling shot, which again Benitez makes a great save, and The thing I noted when he saved that, he came down and he sort of did some stretching and felt his hamstring, which I'll come on to in a bit. Why that might be something
was
else.
that the move where they sort of went back to front Arsenal? You know, we were attacking them, and
it was a quick attack.
They broke, didn't they, quickly with Saka involved? Yeah,
and it was a great save. Obviously, it's gone out for a corner. And unfortunately, we know what happens there. Arsenal, obviously, set piece specialists these days, and our set piece defending, as again we'll come on to, has collapsed in a heap the last month. But the corner comes into the far post, headed back into the 6-yard box. It's bobbling around, and unfortunate for Max, he sticks his foot out and deflects it in. And with sort of 8 minutes to go, you think, well, that's it. It's not going to happen. It was an unfortunate goal. I mean, no one really, no, as I say, it was probably fair and level at that point. But yeah, we thought that was it. The game's sort of petering out. Get to the 90th minute, and the ref holds up 9 minutes of stoppage time. So that gives us a bit of a fillip. And we obviously start throwing caution to the wind and throwing people forward, and we nearly let in another goal. Mark sort of he dawdled a bit on the ball in his own box, which was not clever, and Timber robbed him. And again, Benitez is out quickly.
Saved his blushes, didn't he, somewhat? Because if he scored from that, it would have been pretty bad for Mark.
Wouldn't have been the best. And again, Benitez out quickly. Great save. Then 95th minute, we get a free kick on the far left-hand byline. Adam swings it in, and as he's done a few times this season, Jefferson back post heads it back in, and there's Mark to slide it home. And he didn't celebrate wildly, let's be honest, but I think he was.
What was that about? Why didn't he celebrate?
I think it was more of the fact that the game's not won. We know he knows what's coming. All he's done is got over a penalty shoot. I mean, it's great, but yeah, it was. I just think it was calm.
Because contrary to Mark Gahey, Glasner was beside himself. He was celebrating big time on the touchline, wasn't he?
It was pandemonium. I mean, you don't often get goals celebrated. Everyone just went completely nuts, and it was madness. But I think it's just the fact he knows it's not the time to celebrate, because it's just put it back on a knife edge. But there's still one more chance for Arsenal. Again, another cross, which again bobbled about, and we're all panicking a bit. And again, Benitez saves at Rice's feet. So Benitez obviously kept us in the game. Like I say, at this point, I'm sort of thinking, as I say, and it's a tough call, but I was always saying to the people around me, I think I'd bring Henderson on. I mean, he brought Sosa on in the last minute, clearly for penalties. But only on the basis that, and it's a tough call, I know, because he's been the man of the match. He's done really well in the Millwall shootout earlier in the season. So it would have been very harsh. But like I say, I had noticed a couple of times he'd been stretching and rubbing his hamstring. Now, obviously, if you're diving for penalties, you're going to need all the spring you can get. And if there was any doubt, so maybe he told him he was fine. Okay. I don't know, but that would have been the only. But obviously, we get to penalties. And
let me stop you. Let me say, tell us in the chat whether you agree with Paul. Should Oliver Glasner have brought Dean Henderson on for the penalties, or should he have stuck with Walter Benitez? We know what happened, of course. Nick, what's your view on this? You know, have you got an opinion?
Yeah, only on the injury side of it, really. I mean, if that's right, because I'm not looking at the Arsenal game. The Arsenal game is the Arsenal game. I'm more concerned about if he is carrying a hamstring injury, and who do we go into the next few games with? I think personally he should have put Henderson on, not for any other reason, only the fact that number one, the injury, but number two, more importantly, he actually didn't get anywhere near any of the penalties, did he?
No, he didn't. But here's a question then. Could he have made that change after the final whistle had gone? Would that have been permitted?
I don't think you can. I think you have to.
I don't think you can.
No, but that's
why look at Sosa. He brought Sosa on, so he brought Sosa on for that particular reason.
Yeah, once the final whistles goes, I don't think you can change your team.
Okay.
We always remember the old.
Otherwise, you'd be like American football. You'd end up having special teams, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you remember the '96 playoff final as well.
I do remember it well.
Put their giant on for the last 10 seconds, and then Claridge nullified it. But we won't go back that far. But yeah, so
exactly, yeah.
I mean, without going into too much detail, the first 14 penalties were excellent. Odegaard first, Mateta then.
We've got them here. We've got stills of them all. Look,
Mateta leveled up. Obviously, the unfortunate thing here, just to mention, we obviously lost the coin toss both times because we had the wrong end and we had the second penalty out choice. So obviously, Mateta equalised, Devaney then equalised Rice's one. Hughes scored down the middle there, equalised Saka's one. Trossard, who'd come on to his normal barrage of abuse from us, he scored. So Soso'd come on, and I remember he came on in the Charity Shield and missed his one there, so he did well to score there. Obviously, Marino for Arsenal, Lerma then had to score, Calafiori put them in front again. Walton finally hits the net, so hopefully that will inspire him. Timber, and then Uche comes on, then and obviously Saliba scores, and then up steps number 8, Max, and it's the one time the keeper's gone the right way. It was just capped an unfortunate night for Max, obviously with the own goal, missing the penalty. And again, you can't complain. I think if someone at the start of the match had said we'd take Arsenal penalties and there'd be a lottery, people would have taken it. We showed up on the night, second half certainly, and probably deserved a shootout. And anything can happen at that point. So unfortunately, we go out the quarterfinal stage at the Emirates again. Glorious failure in some ways. But yeah, looking at the stats, obviously, they're going to have more possession than us. 25 shots. They had a lot of shots, but only 7 on target. They had a lot of wild shooting, so they weren't really getting anywhere. But obviously, our problem there, as you can see, 1 on target, and that's
there it is. That's it in a nutshell.
But yeah, so they obviously were the better team on the stat sheet, but yeah, as we said, penalties are a lottery, and it just wasn't to be. We've won 2 shootouts and lost 1 this season. So on average,
we won the one that really matters. And it wasn't Max Lacroix's night, was it? Really, with the own goal and the penalty miss, it was one that he will certainly want to forget. I think in the chat we've got views that basically stick with Walter. Very, very disrespectful to a sub goalie who has done a great job up to that point, says Teresa Baker. Thank you, Teresa, for that contribution.
Yeah, like I say, it was only because he would a potential injury. If he said he was fully fit, then you go for it. But like I say, on a penalty shootout, you need to spring, and if he's feeling a hamstring, then that would.
Well, that's why I asked the question. If he could have changed him after the final whistle went, he could have had a word with him and said, "Look, are you feeling it?" And he said, "Yeah, well, but he can't do that anyway, Nick."
On a very quick point of Teresa Baker, Nurse Teresa, for those of you who don't know the lovely lady, she's actually made a point in the chat this evening saying that with Richardson's injury, she doesn't think he'll be back next week with that type of injury.
Well, Teresa, I don't think you've actually seen him, have you? You don't know that, but I think most people think it will be too early for him to come back for that next game because the games come so thick and fast. We've only got 3 days between games, so. But yeah, I think I've also seen another comment here. Our right side is woeful with no Muniz, Sarr, or Richards. It's basically our first three first choice players all missing down the right hand side, which is just really unfortunate at the moment. But there we are. So we're out the Carabao Cup, but we went out the Carabao Cup last year, but we won another cup last year. So. We'll take the same again.
Is that too bad, though, Ian? It's 2 games less that we got to play now.
Yeah, listen, I'd far rather lose at this stage than go out in the semi-final and play two more games in January with what's happening in January.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those weeks, those mid-weeks in January are going to be really important to us because we're not used to it. We've been playing because we play. We'll come to the fixtures coming up shortly, so we'll have a look at those. But we'll have the luxury of having 3 midweeks, which I think Oliver Glasner will really welcome because he'll be able to work more on the training pitch with the players. And my goodness, we need to do some work, don't we?
And for us personally, it might mean we actually go back to doing a Sunday podcast, which would be very nice.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, Sundays. Yeah, I
not you. You won't.
No, I'm away. I'm going to miss it, but I can listen to it. I can watch it.
Yeah, thanks very much. We'll do the work. You listen.
Right. Okay. So that's the Arsenal game done. Let's come straight to Tottenham then, shall we? We, as I said earlier, I think it's a sign of how far we've come when Tottenham turn up at Selhurst and the expectation around us is we're going to win this. Especially with Tottenham having the players out that they had out as well. They had players at AFCON. They had players sent off last time out that were missing. And they had only won 1 game in 8 up to this point in their last 8 games. So they were in a dreadful run of form. Nick, talk us through these team changes then.
I will do. So Spurs, Frank had to make 2 alterations for the team that lost against Liverpool. Both were enforced. Romano and Simmons both got sent off and got replaced by Danso and Richarlison. Glasner had to make 4 changes from the EFL Cup against Arsenal with Henderson, Klein, Hughes and Devaney coming in to the lineup instead of Benitez, Cambo and Ketty, and obviously the injured Chris Richard. And of course, we've also got Saraway on AFCON and Daniel Munoz, Kamada and Chet Katikore, Shadi Riyad and Caleb Kapora all out injured. Okay, so not very much happened early on, but in the 5th minute, and a big word up for our Will Hughes. I wasn't sure about the Will Hughes signing, ex-Watford player. He gave it to us in spades when he played for Watford. But you know what? I think that guy really gets Crystal Palace. I think he's not the best player in the world, but he's an enforcer in midfield, and that's exactly what we need in certain games. He is a yellow card waiting to happen. To the point where, and I'll do this now actually. Now he's put Will Hughes up on the screen. During the game yesterday, and I was obviously at Sellers Park, I text Nigel and I said, for the benefit of the show, I think it's important we have a look at Will Hughes' cards, because we're down to the bare bones as it is. And my understanding from Nige is he is on 4 yellow cards, 1 more, and he gets, is it Paul, is it a 3-match ban?
No.
No, he would get a 1-match ban, but
I
think he gets wiped after Thursday. I think he gets wiped at the halfway stage.
So both Lerma and Hughes and Munoz, actually, but it doesn't matter about him because he's not going to play. Those 3 players are all on 4 yellow cards. If they pick up a booking in game 19, which is the Fulham game on New Year's Day, they will then miss a game. If they don't pick up a booking in that game, then those 4 yellow cards carry forward for the rest of the season. And if you then get to 10 yellow cards,
get 3 match ban
by game 32, then it's a 2-game ban. So they're the rules. So they're on 4 already. So, and I think we've seen this last season. A couple of players, they behave themselves for a few weeks. They don't get the 1-game ban. Then after that, they start sliding in again and getting booked every week. Before you know it, they're on 7 or 8, and they can quickly get to 10. So we want to try and avoid that if we can.
So early exchanges, of course. The warning sign for Spurs. Setter picks up the possession from deep. Plays a piercing ball through to Devaney, who gets behind Spurs' back line, but he's tripped by Danso. Thank you, Nigel, for putting that on screen. With the other Spurs players chasing Devaney, Danso escapes a strong caution and only receives a yellow card. Boys, do you think he deserves any more than that, or is a yellow card suitable? I mean, you still got to play 85 minutes on a yellow, which he did. Was that the right choice, just a yellow card?
It's a tough one because the rule states if you deny a goal scoring opportunity, then it's a red card. Now, the get out seems to be for that is because Pedro Porro was quite level with them, so they seem to negate it as if there's someone else in the vicinity. It doesn't count, but ultimately, Devaney's next action is going to be a shot at goal, so it is a goal scoring opportunity. So technically, you could argue it should be a red card, but with the laws of the game, seems to be ignored at that point. They bring in this other strange rule where someone else is nearby. Ultimately, he's about to shoot, but it's probably par for the course with Premier League football, rightly or wrongly.
If that's against you and he got sent off, you would be really, really feel hard done by, wouldn't you? But at the time, after his last man, he's got to go. But I think, again, because it's so early in the game, I think that probably helped him a bit. I think it's 25 minutes in. I think it might be a different outcome.
The initial reaction around me in the stadium yesterday is that's a red. They've got to look at that. That's a red, even though we'd seen that he'd been booked. VAR can't intervene with them once he's been booked. Is that right?
I think you're right there. Yeah.
No, they can intervene if they think it should be. If they think it should be a red card, you can look at it and upgrade it. But as I say, they obviously looked at it and thought Porro was close enough for it not to be a red.
Yeah. Well, on to the 17th minute, then the Spurs score. Porro delivers a decent cross towards the back post, and Lerma loses Richardson, who sneaks between him and Klein and tap in from close range. However, straight away, we all knew in the stadium, Bogbel looked as though he was offside in the build-up, and sure enough, VAR was checking it, and the goal was disallowed. So. And if you look at that, I don't even know why it even went to VAR. If I'm honest with you,
what is the point of a linesman? Because he was right in line with it on our side of the pitch. What is the point of a linesman if they don't stick the flag up there?
He may as well be running up and down that touchline with no flag in his hand, because there's absolutely no point of the job. I mean, he's there to give a throw in. That's all he's doing now. He's not making any decisions.
He can't even get that right most of the time. You know, to be fair, the lino day on that side, he was giving it back to us yesterday, Paul. Wasn't he? You see him, and he was laughing.
Yeah, he's done that. He's done that with us before. He gives some thumbs up and stuff when people are giving him grief, and he laughs and stuff and everything. But he did have some. There was a couple of blatant offsides he didn't give yesterday that lead to corners, and that is frustrating because the VAR's out of the game then, and if they score from a corner, they shouldn't have had it. It's no good.
Yeah, 22nd minute.
That's a poor one, though.
22nd minute, Tottenham then get a second yellow card, and at that point, I'm thinking, oh, hang on a minute, this could get a little bit interesting later. Gray got the second yellow card, and he went into Jared Gillett's book. I don't know what we feel about Jared Gillett's performance yesterday, boys. Anything in particular?
It was par for the course for a Premier League referee. Some good, some bad. But as I always say, to me, he's got to pass this season because he was the FA Cup final VAR.
Yeah, I think he's one of the better refs, actually, if I could say that on this podcast. I think he's one of the better refs. I don't think yesterday was one of his better games necessarily, but I think he's always tries to be fair, and they would always say that, wouldn't they? But yeah, he's not a bad ref, Jared Gillett.
So we're half an hour in, and as Richarlison's goal was ruled out, Spurs are still awaiting their first shot on target in the match. And that goes to show you, I actually think the opposition, they were a poor team. They're not a very good team. And I really don't think they are. That disallowed goal came out of nowhere, obviously. And it's been an uninspiring display by Tottenham to that point. 27th minute, Mateta had a huge chance. A set piece played in by Wharton, who delivers the sweeping ball to the back post. McQuarrie wins the header, the initial header, nodding it to Mateta. The striker rises well. He gets above the ball, but he nudges it off target. He's got to do better than that, hasn't he? I mean, this is.
He has.
Don't forget, we are talking about a striker that's looking for upwards in excess of £100,000 a week to miss a shot like that with his head. Ian?
It was a great assist by Lacroix. I mean, in fact, it was a great move because they moved the ball from right to left. Sideways and they were expecting the ball to come straight into the box. It didn't. It went across to Adam Wharton, who then put it in the other way, and that fooled him, I think. And Lacroix got his head on it brilliantly. And you say he got over it. He didn't get over it at all. He went up the top of his head and went over the bar. He needs to get over that ball and head it down, and he's got a chance of scoring then. But I think it's a bad miss.
Paul?
Yeah, as I say, we need him to score those at the moment. I mean, he had a shot just before that, which was narrowly wide. So he was obviously trying to get his goal because he's desperate for one at the moment. But yeah, that was a chance he'll look back at and think he probably should have. Again, like we say, he should have hit the target. Whether it goes in at that point, as long as you hit the target and make the keeper work, then you can't complain.
So finally,
Stephen Dyer says the ref was better than our finishing. Fair enough, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Maybe the officials have been watching our finishing. Paul's making the same point. So 42nd minute, Spurs go 1-0 up. Okay. Porro's corner causes chaos in the penalty area. Eventually, Richarlison nods the ball onto Gray's path, and the 19-year-old heads Spurs in front from point-blank range. It's Gray's first ever Premier League goal. So if you want a goal, you know what to do. Get down to Sellers Park, okay? Defending was pretty poor. Was it not, lads?
Yeah. Did you say he was only 19?
Yeah.
He's played 112 games.
Well, the notes I've got, he's a 19-year-old, yeah.
Most of those were Leeds and most of those are in defence. But yeah, I mean, I remember 4 or 5 weeks ago, Oliver Glasner being upset at us conceding from a set piece because it was only the second one we conceded all season. But since then, it's just been conceding set piece after set piece. It's been pretty terrible, to be honest, and it needs to be sorted.
What's the answer then to this? Because there's obviously no simple answer, because otherwise they'd sort it. But what do you think the answer is?
Well, Chris Richards' presence would have assisted that for sure. And you're shaking your head, Paul. Don't think so?
No. I mean, we let in 4 set pieces at Leeds last week, and he was playing. I mean, I don't know whether I said last week it could be mental fatigue, whether we do this zonal marking as well, and I think the way we saw Arsenal, they put all them in at the back, and Tottenham did the other day, so they can spring forward, and then I think people lose the man they're supposed to be marking. So that could potentially be looked at, going man for man or something. But they've got to do something, and well, the argument will be they're not getting time to do it on the training pitch. But this should be ingrained in them over the last 18 months. So I think it's just we're just slack at the moment, and it needs to be they need to sharpen up somehow.
So go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, then teams know this, don't they? You know, they come and they play us. They know that if they can throw the ball long into the box, they've got a really good chance of scoring, and the corners as well. You know, so we've now got a bit of a reputation for letting in set pieces from balls that are wide, and it's difficult because I think a lot of it's psychological as well. You know, it's all in the mind for a lot of them, and they've got to sort that bit out.
Exactly that. And I was going to say, it's once you start letting in goals like that as well, you get more nervous and cautious, and you don't do. I mean, Dean probably thinks I need to stay on the line to save anything, but actually, it might help for him to come out and try and punch sometimes. Yeah. But he's probably, because of the way we keep letting him in, they're probably just ultra cautious.
So then the Palace catering staff got involved. They dished up a yellow card sandwich. 3 minutes into the added time, Will Hughes gets yellow carded, and literally, on 46 minutes, Maxence Lacroix gets booked within seconds of the restart. Ridiculous after bringing down Spence. And again, you start thinking about what might happen now. What's the consequences of these stupid yellow cards going to be? Spence was then hobbling around for the next few minutes, and I actually thought he was going to go off. He's a big unit, isn't he?
He is, and he's also a cheat, because every time he took a throw in, he took 5 extra yards every single time. And the linesman was telling him, "You do not move, you take it from this spot," and he still did it, and he never brought him back. He's a cheat. There you go, I said it. But he's
Very
big as
strong.
well, you're right.
He's a big lad. Yeah, that's, I was going to say, I wasn't asking about his phrase, I was asking about his physical presence.
What do you think, Paul? Is he a cheat?
Having said, well, he's not following the rules, but if the ref doesn't pull him up on it, you do it. I mean, that's the ultimate thing. I mean, there was a couple of times, I'm not going to, Jefferson Lerma's long throw-ons, his foot was completely on the pitch. So,
Yeah, true.
It's up to the ref. If the ref doesn't call something, then players will take as much as they can.
56 minutes gone. The biggest chance goes to Devaney. He wastes a massive chance. Pino's deep ball outside of the foot and finds Klein at the back post, and he directs the ball towards Devaney, who is waiting at the edge of the 6-yard box. However, the Palace attacker takes a poor touch, swivels and balloons his effort straight over the bar. He just didn't look ready for it. It's certainly not his position in my opinion. Now, I thought the interesting part was when Nketiah came on. He started getting behind their back line, and sure enough, he looked. My notes say he looks lively. He's sprinting behind the Spurs defence. He escapes from Bentancur and unleashes a dangerous ball across the box. Did he make much of a difference in Nketiah? Because I thought he was going to come. I thought Nketiah was going to come on for Pino, but that wasn't the substitution in the end. Was that a right move to bring in Nketiah on, Paul?
Well, we needed to bring someone on. We're losing, so we've got to bring attacking on. And Eddie's one of those players. If you give him a chance, as he showed at Fulham the other week, and he has done in this year with Palace, he will take chances. But that's when he's playing up front generally. I mean, he's not a number 10, so obviously there's a bit more pace on it, and he put a couple of good balls in. But there's no one in the box at the moment to benefit from that. So we need to get the whole attacking unit a bit more cohesive at the moment, really.
So 70 minutes gone. The best chance of the game goes to Lacroix. Palace recycle the ball, and Walton swings the ball into the box. Lerma directs the header towards the danger zone. Lacroix pounces. The centre-back's unchallenged. The header drifts just wide of the post. It isn't quite happening for Palace. And do you know what? That actually, I'm not even going to go any further than that, because that was my notes for the rest of the game. We never actually got any closer than Lacroix's effort. Very disappointing all round. We should have turned them over. Top and bottom is we should have turned them over.
We should have done. I mean, the Lacroix chance was a good chance. He connected, but he didn't quite get the right connection on it. I thought the Devaney chance earlier was also equally a good chance. And at the time, I thought Klein could have headed for goal. But when I've watched it back, I think he did the right thing by heading it back to Devaney, who swiveled and obviously put it over. But those two chances were the biggest for me. And the Mateta one in the first half, which we've already spoken about, Paul.
Yeah, and Gay headed a free header over from the corner as well. And Yeah, it got to that point, and you just don't think you're going to score. And obviously, the opposition sense that as well, and obviously start attacking more when we throw men forward. And obviously, they hit the post after that, another disallowed goal. But yeah, it's as we're going to come on to now. It's the second home game. We had more chances than Man City last time, and we've had more chances here. And if you don't take your chances early, you just give the opposition complete confidence they won't need to defend almost. They just need one goal and they can hold on. But yeah, I think, as I say, we'll probably come on to the reasons for it now. But as we always say, the good thing is we're making the chances. You'd be more worried if we weren't. But there does come a time where, as I say, and Oliver said after the match, we have to, and it's the first time he's ever done this. He's usually very encouraging or whatever, but he came out and said we have to admit we have a problem scoring. The last few goals we've scored have all been from set pieces and probably defenders scoring them, and we have to. There needs to be more composure in the box. We're getting too nervous. We make the wrong decision, and that's with confidence. But he says the only way you can deal with that is to encourage the players and tell them to do the right things. But we've been doing that for a while, and I think the time is coming where you probably have to change personnel. I said last week I'd probably start Uche instead of Mateta in the cup game, and I think potentially I get why he's playing Mateta. He's a handful and he's a threat on his day, and he's, as I said, he's earned the right to have a bad run, but that can only go so far. And I think perhaps personnel, but we don't have that much at the moment. And as I say, I think it highlights how big a miss Sarr is. Now, we've not had him for a while now. Before the Arsenal game, I was reading their preview on the website of the match, and apparently Palace are the second lowest in the division for possession stats. So we're basically a counter-attacking team, and we're actually, and this was quite an interesting stat I found, but an attack of 2.16 meters per second. We're the fastest counter-attacking team of all Premier League teams. And I think that's largely down to Ismaila Sarr. Now, we've missed him for 6 weeks. Okay, he came back for the City game, but he's such a crucial part of this team because he's genuinely, without him, we don't have much pace up front. And I think that's really affecting our game. With Munoz there, with Sarr there, you can hit teams quickly. And when we can't do that, it just gives the opposition time to get defences behind us. And as I say, we're not being able to break them down. And when we do, we're being slack with the finishing. I mean, as I said, the Devaney chance, you can't miss that at this level. It's 6 yards out on the volley. It should be in the back of the net. And when you don't do that, well, you see the results.
I think the interesting thing of what Paul just said there, he said we're missing Sarr, and you're right, but I think we're also missing Munoz and the shots. If you go back to those stats a minute ago, we have 15 shots and 2 on target. And had either of those players been there, you could have easily doubled that shots on target tally because they at least had a go and actually got it on target, which is what they've been doing all season.
The Devaney chance, right? As I said, I thought Klein could have done better and had a go at goal, but looking back, maybe it is the right thing to pull it back for him. But if Munoz is there, that could have a completely different outcome because he could have had a go at goal, and score from an acute angle. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we dubbed a counter-attacking side, i.e., we're better without the ball and all the rest of it. But yesterday was completely the opposite to that. We had 62% possession against the Tottenham side. And I can't remember where that's ever happened before. We actually battered them possession-wise. We had 35 touches in the opposition box to their 18, and yet we only had 2 shots on target. Now that, again, for me, isn't good enough. That ratio is really, really poor. It
just goes to show you, Paul, Ian, that we are a counter-attacking team because our results are borne out that we've won less at home than we have away. Teams come on it when we're away, and we play better, and we're more relaxed in front of target, and that's why we're getting the better results. Without our away form at the moment, we would be languishing deep in the bottom half.
We would be. We've won just 2 games at home all season in the Premier League,
exactly.
Which isn't good enough. And yet, we've had 3 losses in a row, which is the most apparently under Glasner. We've never had a run as bad as that under Oliver Glasner, and yet we're sitting 9th in the Premier League still, and we're in the knockouts of Europa or the Conference, whatever it's called, and we've just gone out of Carabao narrowly. So it's not all doom and gloom. Recently, it is. Yes, of course it is, but it's quite amazing that we're still 9th in the Premier League, having lost our last 3 games. And we'll come to what's coming up in a minute, and it's crucial now that we pick some points up, because if we don't, then we could slide down that table really quickly, Paul.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, you said earlier we're going to talk about XG. I mean, we scored 21 goals, I think, in 18 games, which is not is not good enough. It's not great. And as we said, that's down to missed chances. I mean, I think the stat will show we underperforming I think we're the highest underperformers in the division.
We've got a graphic on that, Nigel.
On chances created, we should have scored 8 more goals, and that could be a difference of 10, 12 points, maybe even more.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show we are creating good chances. We're just not taking them. And that's, as I say, it's all very well when you're still getting the odd twos and goals and stuff when you're not scoring them. But when you're just getting no goals like we have the last 2 home games, it just, as I say, it's psychological. You let a goal in, you don't think, well, we're going to get a draw at best. And that's not great for the confidence.
We are 5th for expected goals in the Premier League with 29.39 goals. And City are top on 34 something. So we're not far away from the best expected goals in the Premier League. And yet we're bottom for actual performance. We're underperforming our expected goals by 8.39, which is by far and away the worst. And compare that with Tottenham, who have actually scored more goals than their performance justifies by almost 10, which is remarkable. So, something has got to happen about that. We've got to address that issue. Obviously, Oliver Glasner knows that. And that brings us sort of nicely, I suppose, into segue into talking about this January window, which feels to me as crucial as any January window has ever been. This is arguably a pivotal season for Crystal Palace on the back of the FA Cup win, on the back of the Community Shield win, and the start we had this season where we're, only a few weeks ago, we were 4th in the Premier League, 4th or 5th in the Premier League. And, some idiots were going, what price are we for top 4 and all this kind of stuff, and now Nick's going, no, we're finishing 16th. And yet probably the reality is it'll be somewhere in the middle because we've got a European run as well and all the rest of it. But I forgot my train of thought now then. I was going to make a really valid
point. Can I ask
you
a question? I'm going to
ask cutting edge reporting. Nick, over to you.
I'm just going to ask you an open question. Gentlemen, I'm going to hypothesize here, okay? Let's just assume, and we don't know, I know we don't know. Let's just assume we have this transfer budget of 60 million quid, okay? Let's just assume our manager has no intention of signing a new contract, okay? Let's just assume, okay? Would you, as the chairman of our football club, be prepared to invest that 60 million quid because we are desperate for bodies in January? Or would,
yes.
And knowing, hang on, I haven't finished the question yet. Knowing full well that you're going to bring a new manager in the summer, okay, who's going to want his own players and he's got no input into the players that we bring in.
I don't care, Nick. I don't care. The answer is yes, because we need bodies now. We desperately need bodies now. If we don't, and I think it was Danny Murphy when he did his match of the day analysis. He said that Palace need 3 more, and if they don't, then it will not be a successful season. And I've got to agree with the guy, Paul.
Yeah, we put ourselves in this position where Nick is right. You are reluctant to spend a lot of money if you don't know the manager. And I said this a few weeks ago. We need to resolve that one way or the other because two reasons. One, you're spending money on a manager who's going to be there to utilise players he buys. And B, players will want to know that might not want to sign if they don't think Oliver Glasner's staying. So they need to sort this out. And I know he's come out and said apparently he's having a chat on the 15th of January and all that. Now,
but that's too late.
That's well. In terms of the transfer window, I said first and foremost, I've said, as I say, if they don't bring people in the first week, they're idiots and they're negligent. If they're going to do it, they need to do it early for the reasons we said. They do it on the last day of the window. Sar's back, Munoz is back, other people. So it's a waste. We've got 4, 5, 6 games in January that need players. So they need to buy 2 or 3 players at least in the first week of January so they can play in all these games. Now, Oliver Glasner has come out and said apparently he's going to have a sit down and chat on the 15th. Now, I think that's quite a clever move from him. You'd like to think it means he's still got an open mind, but it's quite a clever move because if he goes into that meeting and hasn't got any players, well, we know what's happening. He's going to say, well, there's my proof, I'm off. If we can sit down and say, well, Oliver, you wanted 5 players, I've got you 4 already, then you may have a chance of doing it. But they should have sorted this out before this window so that everyone knows where they are because you're right. If he isn't going to stay, you can't really spend loads of money. You're going to go in budget. You'll get some numbers in, Ian, but you'll get loans and stuff like that because...
But look,
But
I don't think we're going to get a decision out of Oliver Glasner before the end of the season. Why would he? You know, he's going to keep his powder dry because he could easily walk away then and say, look, I've delivered you the best ever season you've ever had, your first major trophy. It's been a pleasure, but I'm off. I want to do something else. Someone else comes in for him. Or we win the Europa Conference. We have a great end to the season. We go deep into the FA Cup again. He says, right, I'm really enjoying this. I want to stay. You know, and he makes a decision to stay. But I don't think we get that decision until the end of the season from Oliver Glasner. And actually, I don't think it should make too much difference to players signing for us because they're signing for an established Premier League club, especially someone like Brennan Johnson. He's not getting game time at Tottenham. You know, he comes in on the 2nd of January and he can play straight away, albeit when Sarr's back, he's got to fight for his place. So, you know, you're right. You need to bring these players in early. And get them up and running. And the same with Sasha Bowie from Bayern Munich. You know, he's a right back. We need a right back. We need an established
okay, one last question then, and I'll leave it to you, okay? Does our recent history in the last 2 or 3 transfer windows actually indicate to you that that's going to happen? The answer is no.
Probably not. Probably not. But I can dream, can I? I can dream. You know, we can all have thoughts about what we really want. Paul, what do you think?
I think when push comes to shove, they have. I mean, I remember when Sam was here and we were looking at going down. We bought 4 players in the window there quite quickly. Obviously, when Patrick came in, he got the stuff he wanted quite early. I think when Parish and the board hopefully see what's at stake, and they've seen what can happen end of last year, start of this season, I'd like to think, and I'm maybe being optimistic, but I'd like to think they will do that because they've also got this thing of trying to encourage the manager to stay. Now, as I say, I don't think we can afford to leave it. I think we have to say to Oliver, you've got to give us a decision because people like Kamada, we offered it. He's not going to sign a contract unless he knows Glasner's staying. There's other people in the same. It will also potentially affect Mateta's discussions. So I don't think we can just say, Oliver, okay, well, you decide when you're ready because, as I say, it does affect who we buy, who we bring in, and what we might need to say. We've got to start looking for a new manager. We can't just wait till the end of the season to look. We're going to have to start focusing on that. And
is there an argument to say,
they'll be doing that, Paul. They'll be doing that in the background as well, in case.
But they might not need to. If Oliver comes out and Championship says, I'm not going, they don't need to, and they can focus on transfers. They can focus on. I know there's other departments.
I don't think you're going to get that.
There's the crux of it, Paul. Do you not think then that our manager is actually holding us over a barrel?
Yeah, I said this a few weeks ago. The club need to have it on. They all need to be on the same page. We need to know where this club is going, and that's how you can plan for the future. I remember Zaha a few years ago. He didn't tell us whether he was leaving or not, and you didn't know whether we needed to replace him, whether you needed to siphon off 30 million from the budget because you got to buy a winger the next season. And that's why I've been very appreciative of Mark Gay coming out at the start of the season and being honest with us.
Absolutely right.
Look what happened with Trent. Look what happened with Trent Alexander, Liverpool last year. They didn't. Trent Alexander, Salah, but you had all season not knowing what was going on with them, and it's not the professional way to do it. And I think Oliver Glasner, as much as I say, we owe him an awful lot. And as I say, if he says he'll stay, hopefully he will get an awful lot. But I don't think it's right he strings us on. I don't think he's that kind of person. If he should make a decision one way or the other. If he wants to go,
and that's
fine.
The point.
Everyone will say, Oliver, you've done a magnificent job. Brilliant. It's your call. We can't do anything about it.
That was what I was trying to get to. And if he doesn't, we need to be bigger as the club because we are bigger as a collective than the individual. Say, okay, you haven't made that decision. We're going to make it for you. We're going to move on with whether you're going to sign a new contract or not because we can't afford to wait. He has already alluded to it. We need those players now. So we should be making that decision. If he's not going to do it with us, okay, we should be making it without him. And I absolutely agree with what you just said, Paul.
There we go. And this debate can run, and we probably won't get an answer till the summer on Oliver Glasner, but we can hope he comes through and says something and signs a new deal, and that'll be lovely, and that's what we all want. But you're right, Nick. No player or manager or anyone is bigger than the club. The club is the most
correct.
Important. And much as we love Oliver Glasner, if he's not prepared to commit his future, then maybe it is time for him to move on at the end of the season. We shall see. Paul Bristow says on the subject of right wing backs, Danny Imre has scored again tonight for Blackpool. Only problem with that, Paul, it's in League One, isn't it? So yeah. There we go. And Jaro scored for Sheffield United. Jaro Riedeveld, apparently.
Good to see him get a club. Good to see him.
Yeah, absolutely. I like him a lot.
So did I.
Good stuff. Okay, let's have a look ahead at what's coming up then, because we've already alluded to the fact that these next games are going to be super important to our season. Halfway through the season, game week 19 in the Premier League is on New Year's Day, a 5:30 kickoff live on Sky Sports as Fulham make a visit to Selhurst Park. A quick reverse of the fixture from early December when we ran out winners at Craven Cottage. Only 3 days later, we then travelled to the northeast to Newcastle for a 3 p.m. on a Sunday, also on Sky, before Wednesday evening. Is that Wednesday or a Tuesday, that game? I thought it was a Tuesday, but obviously it's a Wednesday because we play Sunday. Wednesday, the 7th of Jan, Villa at home. Although they're on a great run, aren't they, Aston Villa? They won't relish playing us because we always beat them. But a change to that maybe this time around, who knows? And I'm just really pleased that we have a relatively straightforward, fingers crossed, third round FA Cup tie away to 6th tier Macclesfield of the Northern Premier League. That one is live on BBC One. If you don't have a Sky Sports subscription, 12:15 kickoff Saturday lunchtime, and the third of 3 trips north in a month is going to be costly to those fans travelling the country watching Palace. Is a trip to Stadium of Light to play Sunderland, a 3 p.m. a rare thing in the Premier League, a 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday, and then Chelsea at home on a Sunday, the 25th of January. What do we think of those fixtures, guys? 5 league games. How many points are we expecting from those 5 league games? We can come to specific predictions shortly, but those 5 league games, 15 points up for grabs. What would be success to you, Paul?
Well, if you base it on the team we've got now, I'd like to get 2 wins out of it, to be honest. But I'd like to think we'll have some more players either back from injury or in the squad to give the squad a refresh. I mean, Thursday's game is going to be an interesting one. I mean, we beat Fulham recently. They've just won 3 in a row since, so they may well come and attack us, which is probably a good thing. We don't like teams obviously sit back, but as I say, if we don't take your chances, you're not going to win. But it has to turn at some point, and I'd like to think we'll win on Thursday. Maybe that's just optimistic. Newcastle, they're hit and miss. You never know. And obviously Villa next week. Well, for a team that's just won 11 in a row, they're probably quite scared to come to us because they always fall apart against us. So let's hope that happens as well. Yeah,
fair enough. Nick, how many points out of 15 do you think we might get?
Okay, I'm going to do two bits there very quickly because I'm conscious of your time. That banana skin in the Macclesfield game, I think we could be the first club in history, winners of the FA Cup, banana skin, and that's all I'm saying. Okay, that's a bit of a concern, but I'm going to give you my points tally. I did say it pre-show, and I said it to Nigel earlier in the day. I don't know where we're going to get our next 3 points from unless we do something drastic in a transfer window, which I can't see. So I'm going to give you my points tally: 5.
5 for Nick. I'm going to say 8. I think there'll be 2 wins and 2 draws in there. And Paul, you can give me a figure?
7.
7.
It's not very optimistic, gentlemen, is it? It's not very optimistic.
No, it's not great. Listen, it's a tough time. We've just lost 3 on the spin. You know, if we can get 7 or 8 points from those games, I think that's the result.
And you can only base that on the team at the moment. Like I say, if on the 3rd of January we sign 2 number 10s and a right back, then I'll change it. But based on what we got in front of us.
We shall see. And as for the banana skin and going out to Macclesfield in the 3rd round, it probably will be the first time ever an FA Cup holder has gone out to a non-league team in the 3rd round, if that does happen. But I'm touching everything that's wooden near me. Paul, what do you think about that one?
I remember Coventry losing to Sutton. I'm not sure if that was the year after they won it or not. I can't remember, but that was a pretty horrendous one. It would be. It's not even worth thinking about losing to them.
Can I also? I'm so sorry if you feel that I'm being ultra negative at the moment. My glass is half empty at the moment. I will admit, I'm more concerned that we need to rectify the Glasgow situation sooner rather than later. Otherwise, if we don't do it, I can see our season dwindling away. Stephen, I appreciate your comments in there. You're entitled to your opinion, but honestly, I'm not normally like it, as you regular viewers will know. But we've got to get something sorted out very quickly.
Let me say this, Nick. Probably you are more negative than the rest of us on here, and your glass is often half empty. But that's okay because there's a balance to some of the others that think everything's half full and everything's rosy in the garden.
I was going to say I thought this was one of Nick's more positive shows.
Very good. Guys, listen, we've been going an hour and 4 minutes. It's been great. We could talk all night, but, we do try and keep this to an hour. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining us this evening. We will be back on the 5th of January. I won't, because I won't be here, but Nick will be in the chair on the 5th of January at 8 p.m, immediately after the Newcastle game. And we'll go again then, guys. So listen, wish you all a very happy new year. And let's hope it's a good one. If 2026 is as good as 2025, we are in for a treat. Good night, everyone. Have a good one.
Good night, all. Happy New Year.